May be seated. Under roll call, everyone's present. I want to begin by thanking our string quartet for their performance this evening as we walked in. There we go. Just as soon as you mentioned the strings. So on violins, we had Parker Sloan and Eric Riley. Viola was Olivia Palacino, and the cello was Eric Mattern. Excellent job as always. Approval of minutes. There are no changes to the minutes. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of April 16th, 2024? Mr. Luna, second. Mr. Murray, all in favor? Thank you. Moving on to Art Gallery, Mr. Kunz, who's desperate for a tan.
The Burns-Seidemann Gallery is proud to present the May 2024 show featuring the work from this year's Art Supervisors Association All-County Artists. The Art Supervisors Association, or ASA, is a professional organization of art supervisors and administrators. ASA is a nonprofit advocacy group for education in the visual arts. ASA is active in the promotion of quality art education at all educational levels and provides a forum for ideas relating to art and art education. The 20th annual ASA All-County Art Exhibition took place on March 10th at W.T. Clark High School in East Meadow. This prestigious exhibit featured select artwork by students throughout Nassau County. Artists from all 7 Lynbrook schools, including Lynbrook High School, South and North Middle Schools, West End, Waverly Park, and Marion Street Elementary Schools and the Kindergarten Center were represented. The work includes incredible portraits, landscapes, and still lifes from some of Lynbrook's most talented artists. Congratulations to all the students involved. Please take a moment to enjoy the excellent work of this year's ASA All-County Artists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kunz. Moving on to presentations, Dr. Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Belmont. We have more honorees for our tremendous newspaper. Horizon is in the news again. So this year at the New York Press Association, Horizon took home the following awards. Third place in general excellence for the entire Horizon staff. Best website, second place for the Horizon staff. Best print design, honorable mention for the Horizon staff. The best news story, third place, Amelia Doyle, for her article, Environmental Club hosts semi-annual beach cleanup with Restore the Seas. Best feature story, second place, Madeline Malinka, for the Kindergarten Center's new reading curriculum. The best feature story, Cassandra Levinson, for third place for her, for Lynbrook alumni, chooses life over war. And finally, the best sports story, honorable mention, Colette Doyle, for Amy Quinlan swims her way to states. So we want to bring them up once again. I think everyone in that group has gotten a T-shirt already except for Amelia. So we'll come on up and we'll give, if anyone didn't, let us know. Are folks here? Okay, so a few weeks ago, a 10th grade student, Danaya Amoraliva, correct? No. I have this, Amoralavia. No, thank you. She created a community called Let's Talk. And that was with the goal of providing a unique opportunity for people from her home country of Kyrgyzstan and other Commonwealth of Independent States countries to learn and practice English for free with native speakers. In these countries, most young people are not able to afford English classes since they are very expensive. Dania wants to give students from these countries an opportunity to expand their language skills and confidence in communicating in English. Dania has created an Instagram page and a website to spread the word and has already a dozen student volunteers to help those students speak English. The program is off to an incredible start and has been a positive and enriching experience. And I thought it would be really nice if the kids could come up and tell us a little bit about the program that they had. So this is Dania, and then her sister Arukia, and their friend Juanita are here.
My name is Danaya. I'm from Kyrgyzstan, and I'm the creator of organization Let's Talk, which provides free practice English with native speakers from the United States. My name is Danaya Muralieva. I'm in 10th grade at Lynbrook High School. I came to this country 6 months ago from Kyrgyzstan. I know the cultural context of the students in Kyrgyzstan because it's my home country. There are not many options for students in my country to learn and practice English. When I was in Kyrgyzstan, I tried to learn English through apps and the internet, but it wasn't a safe experience. Now I'm here. I'm creating ways to open doors for my community together with many people that I have met here. What is our mission? Our mission is to make learning English accessible, easy, and safe for children and teenagers in Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Russia, and other CIS countries. How does it work? Since an Instagram account is easier to find than a website, I created an Instagram account with a link to a website. The website has two forms, one for volunteers and the other one for users. After filling out the forms, I receive notifications and arrange a call with volunteer on Instagram or another platform. After the call, I ask the student and volunteer to leave a feedback. But now I want to invite one of our volunteers to share her experience with us.
Hello. Hello, my name is Juanita and I'm from Colombia. I am part of this project and I'm participating by talking with a Kyrgyz girl. And this was a wonderful experience for me, and because it's more than learning a language, it's learning a new culture and a new persons that it's very, very good. And I think one of the best ways to learn a language is talk. So this is Let's Talk.
There are some reviews from our students from Kyrgyzstan who practiced English with students from Lynbrook High School, and I want to read one of them. Well, I didn't expect anything like that all, but it was really very good. She was a very kind, sunny girl who was not embarrassed by my wild accent and ability to formulate thoughts. Just after one such conversation, it seems to me that I became bolder in expressing my thoughts in English. The way the conversation went easily and the understanding that she has a different culture, a different life is so interesting. And in principle, the conversation is exciting in a good way. She was very open and kind, and we talked from 9:30 to 12, almost without a break. It really is such an invaluable experience. And if you have some questions, you can ask them now. And I would ask you to follow our Instagram account. It's Let's Talk Free English. And if you want to become a volunteer, you can fill out the form from our website.
So, ladies, the questions will probably come from up here. First of all, Well, two things. First, if you make it to Shark Tank, I want to be involved. So don't forget me. Second of all, this is amazing. We had some, I mean, really amazing. I mean, one of the great things about being an entrepreneur or just a good person is to see a need and then find a solution for it. And the fact that you had that on your own and you came up with it, it's like amazing to be able to create that bridge for people. And you are probably the first person that I've met, even though I knew it was in Central Asia, but it shows you just how diverse our community is and how we have people coming from all over. I'm really impressed by this. I mean, is there any way we can make it like a club at the school, like something? I mean, I believe our students are involved now.
Yeah, so who were some of your volunteers? Because it's not just Juanita, right? They have a lot of volunteers, right?
Can I take my phone to see the names?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Так, one of them is Anna Juarez. As I know, she's a junior. Then Cassandra, she's also junior. She's from Horizon. Мэдди Watson.
I think generally speaking, you don't have to worry about the names. We were just curious to know. So you have students in the school who are assisting you with the program. That's amazing. I hope that's something we can almost just have at one of our clubs and one of our programs where students can get involved and just continue to expand that. I think it's great. Very impressive, ladies.
Yes.
Very impressive.
So one thought, you know, I'm not sure the logistics of it, but one thought to, if this does become a club or something that the school supports, is this may be an opportunity for students to earn community service by volunteering their time in something like this as an inducement to get more kids involved, because it's really impressive what you guys did. It's incredible that you did it on your own and formed it. It's highly impressive.
When people move into a community and they don't speak English as their first language, not only is that difficult, but they're also looking to be valuable. They're looking to be involved. And having a program like this means someone can come in who doesn't speak English but has a skill set that can be applied to a program like this and immediately find some confidence in what they're doing. So really, very impressive.
And I just want to say also that I think this is very impressive. I just followed you on Instagram. Are you looking for adults to volunteer to, or is it just for students, or?
I think made same program for adults too, but
Okay.
adults can't practice with teenagers and
All right.
children.
If there's any way that, anybody can help you, or, the district can help, or the board
Yes,
can
of
help,
course.
please let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Since you have the mic, why don't you share what is the Instagram handle?
Um,
This way you get it out there.
Free.
Did you?
Wait.
Did you? Oh, okay, I missed it.
Let's
Let's
talk.
talk free English.
We're going to give you some T-shirts, but also I just want to point out Mrs. Smith, who is the teacher, and Mrs. Torres, who is our E&L chair, who are the adults behind the kids who are doing amazing work here. So you get to have your T-shirts and a picture with us.
Thank you, Rahmat.
Gracias.
Yep, I'm done. Yep. That's
All right, moving on to staff this evening. Always bittersweet when we have some retirements along with some welcomes, but we do have some retirements this evening. Bad for us, good for you. Let's start with kindergarten teacher Kelly McMahon. Please stand up.
Whereas Mrs. Kelly McMahon, teacher at the Kindergarten Center, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2024, after years of devoted service as an educator who has made a difference in the lives of all her students. And whereas Kelly McMahon began her tenure within the Lynbrook School District during the 2014-2015 academic year as a permanent substitute at South Middle School, demonstrating exemplary dedication and commitment to the students and staff. And whereas Kelly McMahon's passion for education and unwavering support for student learning led to her appointment as a teacher assistant at Marion Street Elementary School for the 2015-16 school year, where she exhibited exceptional leadership qualities and contributed significantly to the school community. And whereas during her tenure at Marion Street Elementary School, Kelly McMahon went above and beyond her role by initiating and successfully organizing the Math Olympiad Club, providing students with valuable opportunities to engage in mathematical challenges and fostering a love for mathematics among participants. And whereas Kelly McMahon served as the building representative for the Teacher Assistant Teacher Aide Union, advocating tirelessly for the rights and welfare of her colleagues while maintaining a collaborative and inclusive work environment. And whereas, amidst the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, in 2020, Kelly McMahon demonstrated resilience and adaptability by stepping into the role of a third-grade classroom teacher, providing students with a supportive and enriching learning experience during a time of uncertainty and transition. And whereas Kelly McMahon's dedication and professionalism were further recognized with her appointment to a probationary teaching position at Marion Street Elementary School at the conclusion of the 2020-21 school year, reflecting her outstanding contributions and commitment to the Lynbrook School District. And whereas, following her tenure at Marion Street Elementary School, Kelly McMahon continued her exemplary service to the Lynbrook community by assuming the role of the Red A teacher at the Lynbrook Kindergarten Center, where she imparted a passion for learning to her students and prepared them with the foundational skills necessary for success in first grade and beyond. And whereas Kelly McMahon's dedication to fostering a nurturing and supportive learning environment at the Lynbrook Kindergarten Center has left an indelible mark on the lives of countless students, instilling in them a love for learning that will endure throughout their academic journeys. And whereas Kelly McMahon embarks on the next chapter of her life, she does so with her beloved husband Brian by her side as they eagerly anticipate settling into their new home in Cape Coral, Florida, where they will bask in the sunshine, enjoy boat rides to picturesque destinations such as Sanibel Island and Cabbage Key, and cherish the company of their children Wyatt and Jessica. And whereas, when not soaking up the sunshine or exploring new horizons overseas, Kelly and Brian will undoubtedly continue to enrich their lives through shared experiences and laughter. And whereas the Lynbrook Board of Education extends its heartfelt congratulations and best wishes to Kelly McMahon on her retirement, expressing profound gratitude for her years of dedicated service, leadership, and unwavering commitment to the students, families, and staff of the Lynbrook School District. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lynbrook Union Free School District accepts the resignation of Kelly McMahon for the purpose of retirement effective June 30th, 2024. Congratulations.
I wonder if we'll ever get a resolution where it says, and she's moving with the family up to Vermont or New Hampshire. It's always down south. Melissa Phillips, if you could please stand up. Teacher assistant at Waverly Park.
Whereas Mrs. Melissa Phillips, teaching assistant at Waverly Park Elementary School, has announced her intention to retire, effective June 30th, 2024, after years of devoted service as a teaching assistant and dedicated educator who has made a difference in the lives of all her students. Whereas Mrs. Phillips earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Management, she pursued her graduate studies at Hofstra University, earning a master's degree in elementary education. And whereas Mrs. Phillips began her career as a teaching assistant and substitute in the North Merrick School District, where her two children, Amanda and Dylan, attended. Teaching is a second career for Mrs. Phillips, having previously worked in the marketing field. As her children grew up, she decided to go back to school for her master's in elementary education and early childhood education, and later became certified in special education. Mrs. Phillips joined the Lynbrook School District and Waverly Park in 2016. During her time at Waverly Park, Mrs. Phillips taught as a teaching assistant in first, second, third, and fourth grade ICT classes and as a teaching assistant in a primary special class. Whereas Mrs. Phillips is an essential member of the Waverly Park staff, she used her professional knowledge and expertise to provide guided reading and math instruction. Mrs. Phillips was instrumental in supporting students with academic and social and emotional needs during recess and throughout the day. She was also extremely flexible and is an asset in assisting with challenging situations and individual student needs. Her patience and preservation of student dignity and the safety of all students are commendable. Mrs. Phillips' calm manner, maturity, and wealth of experience has proved to be invaluable, and whereas Mrs. Phillips' passion for education and meeting the needs of diverse learners lead her to go back to school to pursue a special education certification. She was able to take research-based strategies to differentiate students based on behavior, academic, and social-emotional needs. Mrs. Phillips' skills and intuition make her the ideal colleague to teach with. Without a word, Mrs. Phillips knows which learners need remediation, and she takes it upon herself to help those students master the concept. In addition, Mrs. Phillips has been a lead teaching assistant, providing Great Leaps interventions, and she participated in Eureka Math training. And whereas Mrs. Phillips made such a lasting impact on all the classes and students she has worked with, Mrs. Phillips has been the consummate professional in her role as a teaching assistant, and she is extremely professional and always willing to lend a hand. Mrs. Phillips' thoughtfulness and humor will be missed by her colleagues. Whereas the Board of Education thanks Mrs. Phillips for her dedication and commitment to her students and the Lynbrook schools and wishes her a happy, healthy retirement with time to read, spend time with her family, and travel with her husband, Dave. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Melissa Phillips for purposes of retirement effective June 30th, 2024.
Judy Coburn, Kindergarten Center, if you could please stand up.
Whereas Judy Coburn has announced her intention to retire from the Lynbrook Public Schools after 18 years of service, effective June 26, 2024. And whereas, as a school monitor at the Lynbrook Kindergarten Center since October 2006, Judy Coburn's contributions have been invaluable to our school community, ensuring the safety and well-being of students and families. Whereas Judy Coburn has consistently executed her responsibilities with care and attention, warmly welcoming students and families and diligently overseeing sign-in procedures. Her effective communication skills have ensured timely dissemination of important information to school staff. Whereas Judy Coburn's versatility and willingness to assist wherever needed have been evident as she has graciously covered for the school's secretary and efficiently handled main office tasks, including answering phone calls with professionalism and courtesy. Whereas Judy Coburn's positive demeanor and dedication have left an indelible mark on students, their families, and staff alike. Whereas the Lynbrook Board of Education extends its sincerest gratitude and appreciation to Judy Coburn for her dedicated service to the Kindergarten Center and wishes her a happy and healthy retirement, including enjoyable winters in Florida. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lynbrook Union Free School District accepts the resignation of Judy Coburn for the purpose of retirement effective June 26, 2024.
Just confirming, Gloria Ocasio, I do not believe is here from the kindergarten 7, but we are going to read the resolution. Who is that one? Mrs. Marcus.
Whereas Gloria Locascio has served diligently as a school monitor at the Lynbrook Kindergarten Center since September 2005, demonstrating unwavering commitment and dedication to the welfare of the students and the school community. Whereas throughout her tenure, Gloria Locascio has fulfilled her responsibilities with exceptional care and attention, particularly as a lunch monitor, ensuring the safety and enjoyment of the children during both indoor and outdoor recess periods, and as a dorm monitor, warmly welcoming and assisting families throughout the school day. Whereas Gloria Locascio's presence and contributions have greatly enriched the Lynbrook Kindergarten Center, fostering a positive and nurturing environment where students feel safe and supported. Whereas the Lynbrook Kindergarten Center extends its deepest gratitude and appreciation to Gloria Locascio for her years of dedicated service, unwavering commitment, and invaluable contributions to our school community. Whereas Gloria Locascio will embark on her well-deserved retirement, the Board of Education expresses its heartfelt wishes for her continued happiness, fulfillment, and prosperity in this new chapter of her life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lynbrook Union Free School District accepts the resignation of Gloria Locascio for the purpose of retirement effective June 26, 2024.
Thank you, Mrs. Marcus. And as we said, sadly we lose some, but happily we gain some. So we have some new staff members this evening. Account clerk for special services, Samantha Joseph, please stand up. Welcome. All right. Moving on. Bear with me on this one, Alyssa. Alyssa Angelovic, teacher at West End, please stand up. Teacher at Marion Street, Susan Pesci Mausheni, please stand up. Waverly Park teacher, Kristen Ryan, please stand up. Welcome. Teacher at the KC, Carly Tansky, please stand up. Good luck with that group. Another teacher at the KC, Gabrielle Pugilia. Special education teacher at North, Thomas Rochford, please stand up. And is she here? Director of School Counseling and Social Work, Natasha Boyce, please stand up. Congratulations to all of you. In a few minutes, we're going to be moving on to the very exciting budget hearing portion of our meeting, but before that, we will allow all the retirees to depart to celebrate, and for our students to go do their work, and for our new staff to celebrate also. All right, here's the rule. If you're still in the room after 60 seconds, you got to stay for the budget hearing. Terry, you staying? Nice. You did get that new playground and basketball court, Terry, so you should be staying. Wow. I thought they would all leave. They sat down. Okay, Mr. President, I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do your presentation. All right, Brandon, we good? B, yeah, we go. We are now going to move on to the budget hearing, where Mr. Press promises to be a very exciting and exhilarating presentation on our budget. We will hold questions to the end, unless board members want to intervene sooner.
Excellent. And feel free to put the Knicks game up, Brendan, because I think people might be more interested in that than my presentation. Thank you all for staying, members of the community. We're here to present the budget this is the budget hearing. This is required by law that we present the budget generally a couple of weeks before the budget vote on May 21st. Not a lot changing here, so those of you who have seen the presentation before, you'll, just stay with me, stay awake, please. We will talk about some of the changes. Since the board has adopted the budget, the state finally adopted their own state budget, and so we got final numbers on state aid. Not a real lot changed for Lynbrook in those state aid numbers, so we'll talk about that as we go through. Again, the budget is supporting these programmatic priorities of the district. I'm not going to read through everything here. If anyone has questions, you can ask me. But one of the top bullet point there is building a continuum of special education services at West End, North Middle School, and Lynbrook High School, and then integrating our social emotional program into the classrooms, and then continuing our integration of the science of reading, our reading program in the intermediate elementary grades. In terms of our staffing, it's a net zero in terms of increases. We are proposing to add 1.0 FTE of professional staff in the guise of an occupational therapist. At the same time, through attrition, we are abolishing an elementary teaching position. There was a large bubble in the 5th grade at Marion Street. That bubble has moved on through, and so there's not a need to fill that position for that extra section at Marion Street. The budget also continues to support 5.0 FTE of professional staff that was added to the current 23-24 budget after the budget was adopted. In terms of our departmental and building level budgets, our superintendent code is flat. Our Board of Education code, slight increase there. Nothing to really write home about. Curriculum, instruction, and assessment, we are looking at an increase of just under 5%, $59,000. We've had some increases there. In charter school tuition codes, we had budgeted for 1 student this year. We had an additional 5 students move in, and so those students cost us about $20,000 each, so we needed to increase the budget. This is really to right-size things, because this is really around the expense we are seeing this year. We had some decreases in our BOCES regional certification code due to resizing of the BOCES programs based on enrollment changes. Personnel, transportation, student support services. We're showing a net decrease. Things have changed just a little bit since we proposed and the board adopted this budget. We were budgeting for a decrease of $82,000 net. Since then, we have seen some changes, in our main bus company has decided that they could no longer renew our contract at CPI, so we're going to go out to bid on that actually very soon. Additionally, what we had done in terms of the transportation budget was we took a closer look at things. So we had a decrease in our BOCES transportation. We had budgeted for 3 shuttle buses, largely used by our athletic teams. We've only been using 2, so we were able to kind of decrease the budget there. And then through additional decreases through the use of fewer vans and reducing our contingency, which hopefully that still holds for next year. Mm-hmm. This finance operations and information systems, this is my office. That is not why it is the larger increase of the 3 central office, or 4 central office budgets. It just happened to be that way. We're showing an increase in central data processing due to increases in staffing costs and additions there. Our BOCES admin fees have gone up. They go up typically every year. And our insurance costs are going up, just like I'm sure a lot of you. Your insurance costs are going up for things like automobile insurance, homeowners insurance, and things like that. The rates increased 16% for 23-24, and we're anticipating increases, large increases again next year. Debt and interfund transfers. The debt is the debt service on our the bond borrowing. So we are next year in year 5 of a 20-year debt service. The debt service is largely flat. You have some minor fluctuations year to year, so this is approximately what we'll be seeing for the foreseeable future. And our interfund transfers, that's our support for our special education summer programs and our food program. Not a large change there either. Facilities, we're seeing an increase of just under 5% there. We have decreased the budget for fuel oil. We have the fuel oil a couple of years back during COVID, like nearly, it actually did triple in the district where I was. So we are able to kind of right-size that budget a little bit, but we are seeing increases in electric and natural gas. Electric is obviously, we're budgeting for increases in the utility costs, but we also added lights at North Middle on the turf field there, and we are planning in this budget to add lights to finish the project at Marion Street. So we're anticipating increases there due to just increase in use, but also increase in the rates. Capital projects budget, this is the lighting project that I just mentioned, so we're anticipating that this will cost about $700,000 to finish that lighting project. That was part of the Marion Street turf field, playground, and parking lot project. Moving on to our school budgets, the elementary budgets are increasing just over 21%. A lot of that is just due, I mean, it's a sizable increase, but there are supplies and materials that we need to continue to support our programs, including our elementary school lunch programs and some outdated equipment, and then just the general force of inflation hitting the supplies and materials codes. At the secondary schools, the increase there is about 17%. We are adding new clubs, 6 new clubs expected to continue into the 24-25 school year. We are also actually in both the elementary and secondary levels, there are increases in some of the club and other activity stipends and salary codes due to renegotiation of the LTA contract, and then additional transportation costs for field trips and for Frost Valley. Special ed increases about 10%. We continue our BOCES psychological code budgeting there as well. We've got increases in out-of-district tuition codes in private, in public, in BOCES, and that is largely due to increases in the tuition rates themselves. At BOCES, we are budgeting for an increase in the number of students placed in these BOCES out-of-district placements. Transportation costs are going up as well, but we were able to take a real close look at related services and decrease those by about $124,000, due in part to the addition of occupational therapists this year, and we have budgeted, as I had mentioned earlier, for adding an occupational therapist next year. Communications and technology is up approximately 10%, driven in large part by our one-to-one computer program for our students and also for our staff, and some additional data wiring projects, and then additional increases in network support and computer repair. The computer repair code is due to a maintenance contract we entered into for maintenance of the equipment in the innovation room. We did see a decrease in telephone costs because we purchased a bunch of stuff this year that we don't need to budget next year, so we can decrease the budget there. Athletics and health, this is an increase overall of $52,000 and change. We're budgeting for increases in the number of supervisions, some additional coaches that were added after the budget was adopted for the current school year, and then just increases in the supervision stipend and the coverage there, and the coaching costs as well, coaching salaries. Fine and performing arts going up just over 6%. We're getting some new choral risers, that is the plan anyway, at South Middle School. The gum and duct tape we've been using to hold them together for the last few years has served its purpose, but those are well beyond their useful life. We're seeing a decrease in instrument rentals and repairs due to the BOCES instrument purchases that those agreements that we've entered into with BOCES, so we've got newer instruments, so fewer repairs. Guidance and counseling largely flat here, but we are continuing our BOCES social work through Central Nassau Guidance, and also our job coaching program through CEO. Our special programs, this is a slight increase here, just about 1.5%. This is summer playground, summer school, and adult education, largely increase in rate for the summer counselors as minimum wage has increased. Salaries and benefits, the largest portion of our budget. We're looking at an overall salary increase of $1.5 million, which is just under 3%. And again, there's really no net staff increase. This is largely due to just contractual salary increases. Benefits, we continue to get hit hard with increases over which we have no control. So we're seeing double-digit increases. We're continuing to see double-digit increases in medical insurance and other areas like that. Our pension costs have gone up over $500,000. The ERS rate, which is the rate for our non-instructional staff, increased from 13.1% to 15.2%, which is a net increase just in the rate itself of 16%. And then you build on top of that the increases in salaries. So we've taken a hit there. And then Medicare, the cost there, we reimburse our retirees for Medicare. The Medicare rates increased 6%. This year, we're anticipating a similar increase going into next year. So this is the summary of all those areas I just talked about. Our overall budget, $106,395,443. So it's a $4.5 million increase, which is approximately 4.47%. That's not approximate, actually, that's actual. All right, this is the part that's different. This is the exciting part for those who are following along and not watching the Knicks game. The state does require that we present the budget in this three-part budget manner. So the way we've been presenting it is the Lynbrook way, which to me makes more sense than the three-part budget way, but we've got to do this. So the three parts of the budget are administrative, program, and capital. Administrative is not just administration, so this is not all the administrative salaries in there. Program is the educational program, and that is the largest part, as you would anticipate, $81 million. It's approximately 76% of the budget, and then our capital, $16 million, or about 15% of the budget. So we'll get into a little bit more of the detail. So these are the categories that make up the administrative budget. So Board of Education, Central Administration, special items, which is auditors and insurance and association dues and exciting things like that. Supervision is generally curriculum and principal salaries and expenses related to those positions as well. Special schools, and that's our summer high school, and the cost related with that on the administrative side, and then employee benefits. So we're looking at an increase there of about 5.65%. On the program side, I think most of these areas are self-explanatory, or we've talked about them a little bit already. So our increase here in this area, 4.24%. And finally, capital, which is facilities, operations, the employee benefits related to that, our debt service, and our transfer to capitals, those things we've talked about earlier, an increase of just over 5% on the capital budget side. Okay, back to the usual, our use of reserves. So there's a slight change here, but overall we're budgeting for an increase in our use of reserves, largely due to the fact that assistance from the state through state aid is essentially non-existent. or minimal at best. So we increased our use of the ERS reserve from 1 million to 1.5 million. That matches our budgeted increase for the expense. Our TRS reserve, which we have not used before as a source for the budget, was originally budgeted for us to use $700,000. We lowered that to $660,000. That is due in part to us, the district, receiving an anticipated increase of approximately $41,000 in additional state aid. So as when I did the original presentation, I said depending on how things shook out with state aid, we would reduce our use of reserves, and so that's the change here. Workers' comp and employee benefit, the use of the EBLR reserve remain the same as last time. So our local revenue projection, the only real change here, so I mentioned the increase in state aid was actually $40,922. I took the $40,000 out of the use of the TRS reserve and the $922 from miscellaneous. That's the only change here. So here's our state aid revenue projection. As I mentioned, little reduction here, $40,922. The increase, increased, I said reduction, did I say reduction? I didn't mean that. If I did say that, increase of $40,922, largely in the area of foundation aid. There were very small reductions in a few other areas. So this is our net state aid for the general fund side is $19,952,512. Here's our tax cap. Nothing has changed since the original presentation on these slides here. So we take the last year's levy, we add in factors like the tax-based growth factor, which is the increase in the taxable property here in the district, adding in pilots, taking out the exemptions from last year, and then only at that point, you can't see it here, but that 2% that you read about in the papers, this is, again, it's part, that 2% is only part of the formula, and that's here in that third line up from the bottom. So all of these calculations get us to our allowable levy limit before exclusions, $74,873,993. We carry that forward onto the top line here, and then we add in debt service, we add in capital projects, the BOCES capital exclusion, and then this ERS exclusion, which I won't bore you with the details, but feel free to come up and talk to me about it later. It'll only take about a half an hour. And then we subtract out our building aid. That gets us to our allowable tax levy limit of $76,649,752. That represents an increase of $1.6 million, or 2.21%. So then what we do is in terms of determining what levy we are actually going to levy, tax levy we're going to levy, we look at our proposed budget, the $106 million, the budget to budget increase of $4.5 million there. We look at our state aid revenue, we look at our local revenue, and our projected applied fund balance, the $1.5 million. That is an increase as well. So we are budgeting not only for the use of additional reserves, but additional fund balance. And those numbers add up to $29,745,691. The difference between the $106 million and the $29.7 million is $76,649,752, and that is the estimated tax levy that we would need to balance the budget. And so that lines up exactly with our allowable levy increase at 2.21%. Moving on to our use of reserves. These reserves are not used as part of the general fund budget. The reserves I talked about before were used as sources of revenue to help balance our budget. These reserves have no effect on the tax levy, no effect on the taxpayer either. This is the use of funds out of reserves that we already have existing. So the use of our technology reserve, we are looking to expend $254,000 to do some wiring projects and to do some device replacement, leaving that reserve with a balance of $913,289 after we use that $254,000. We have some capital projects that we are looking to use our capital reserves to pay for. Again, no impact on the tax levy. here, but we've got some projects at the high school, renovating 5 faculty restrooms, Marion Street, replacing some concrete and repointing waterproofing the building. West End, rebidding the roof above the Voyager room. We had previously bid this out. There was funding for a project. The bids came in above that budget, so we needed additional funding in order to complete that project. So this additional funding should help us do that. And then the administration building, renovating 2 restrooms there. So total cost of $1.8 million would leave that reserve with a balance of just under $5 million. So our budget summary here, again, the overall budget, $106,395,443. That increase of $4.5 million, budget to budget, which is about 4.47% increase. Our proposed tax levy at the cap at 2.21%. Just some important information. Last day to register to vote, if you have not registered to vote or are not registered, is May 15th. And the all-important budget vote is Tuesday, May 21st. So we hope to see you all there. And one final bit of information that I wanted to add in here is about the contingency budget. So we talk about this. I hope to not ever have to talk about this again here this year until we present the same information last year. But if the budget does not pass on May 21st, the board has three options generally. One is to put the same budget up for a revote in June. Second option would be to put up a revised budget in June for a vote. Or the board could decide to go directly to a contingency budget with a tax levy increase of 0%. If the budget if it fails in May, we put it up again in June, and it fails again in June. By law, we automatically go to that contingency budget, so 0% increase in the tax levy, which means our tax levy revenue would be decreased by that $1.66 million. Essentially, we would need to reduce the budget by that amount or find some other revenue sources. There are some rules that apply in terms of a contingency budget, things that have to actually come out. One of those would be that lighting project, so capital projects would have to come out of the budget. And then there's a number of other things that we would talk about in the event we needed to talk about it, but I'm not looking to talk about it in any great detail at this point. I hope to not have to talk about it. But if you do have questions, please feel free to ask. And with that, I open it up to questions.
Thank you, Mr.
How are the Knicks doing?
Excellent, very
Excellent.
comprehensive.
Okay.
Third time we've done this. I appreciate the laws requiring the continuation of it. But anything from the board on this? I know it's a lot of what we've
I
seen
didn't really
before.
have a question because we've heard this a bunch of times, but I just want to once again just really thank the administrative team, Mr. Press, and the central office for working so hard to take a high inflation environment and put out a budget to the community that's going to keep the tax levy at 2.2%. It's just I know how hard that was for you to do, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And just a word about Mr. Press's staff and Mr. Press, but for the 11th year in a row, we just found out yesterday, they were awarded the certificate for transparency in financial reporting. So that's the 11th year in a row for that staff. So that was my department before that. So I know you actually don't do any of the work, and it's the ladies that do all the work. So we know it's true. So we thank
Yes.
the business office.
Absolutely, yes.
That is what you call riding the coattails. Nothing else from the board. If anyone from the community has any questions about the budget, you can come to the podium, identify yourself, whether you live in and out of district. Please contain your questions to the budget.
Jeff Greenfield, citizen taxpayer, NGL Realty, 112 Merrick Road. I'm either your first or last taxpayer in the district, depending if you go eastbound or westbound on Merrick Road. The Knicks are tied 36-36 at the end of the first quarter. Mr. Belmont, I'm here tonight because I couldn't afford a Knick ticket after my real estate taxes. You would need a GoFundMe page for what they were asking for prices. So I decided to come here. Also because I have some concerns and questions. Hope I will have an opportunity for non-budget items later on also.
We'll be
Yes.
doing non-budget items at the end of it. We're going to go back to our regular meeting, then do that at the end.
In reviewing the budget, there's one big item that I don't see reflected there. How much do we spend on security? It's not broken out. I think it would be good for the community to know it. I'm not opposed to it. I think it's very critical. I don't want to ever see a security problem in my adopted village of Lynbrook School District.
So I'm thinking right now, just from we have our own security force now, and that's about $700,000 is what we're spending on that, and then an additional $100,000 in consulting services, so just under $1 million.
You're much better than Rockville Center. It's $1.2 million in Rockville Center projected for next year. Last night I was at their budget hearing, and I told them it was my 55th annual budget hearing. You're not as fortunate here. It's not my 55th.
They must have been very excited about
Yeah,
that.
they always are excited to see me. Next item is regarding insurance. I know something about insurance, and Mr. Prest, you're right. The rates are going up very high. I was in Albany with a meeting of my trade association, and I told them that we have to impress upon the leadership of the New York State Department of Financial Services to do something about affordability and availability of insurance. All they're worried about in Albany and the people in the is fining, because it's banks and insurance together. They just want to bring in fine revenue, and there's more money in fining banks. And they're worried about cybersecurity. It's important. And they're worried about AI. So we maybe through your trade association, you could also get some focus on that. And the Hewlett School District, I'm aware, bid their insurance. Who is your insurance broker now? Why haven't we bid that? Or insurance company?
The insurance company that we use is Nicer. They insure, I think
I'm familiar.
Yeah, okay, 90% of the schools on Long Island.
So you could talk to your whoever is in charge of your same position, Hewlett. They broke away from NYSA this year. They bid the insurance. I don't have the numbers yet. I'm not a citizen taxpayer in Hewlett at the current time, so I haven't gone there. But they bid it, and they got savings, because I know from the industry, and they broke away from NYSA. So maybe you could put that in your horizon for next year. Maybe you could actually do business locally with a local independent agent. I know one that's the oldest independent agency in Lynbrook.
Oh, who would that be?
NGL Insurance,
Oh,
who is
okay.
the tenant of NGL Realty. Be happy to talk to you about
Yeah,
that.
we have, it has been a topic of conversation among my colleagues that the rate increases are just, they're astronomical. We did have representatives from NYSER come speak to us and say and I think this is maybe not to the same extent in the private market, just the losses that they're incurring.
So it's the cat losses. So there's a fellow you must have all heard of called Warren Buffett, and he's losing his shirt at Geico, and he doesn't like to lose money, Warren. And he also owns reinsurance companies, and he's not used to paying claims. So he's driving the market up in his, I'm trying to be politically correct or polite, his charges to insurance companies for reinsurance. And that's where some focus, I told our people in Albany to focus on. Next item is the one thing you left out is the water. Long Island Water has an astronomical rate increase. You
Yes.
didn't break that out.
You know what, it was a line item, a bullet point in one of the slides. I didn't bring it up just
Oh,
because
okay.
in the scope, we did see a doubling in the water rate. But the scope of the increase for us was smaller, when you're looking at things like our increase in the lighting and the natural gas. But yes, we did see an increase there, significant.
So you've answered my question on foundation aid, thank you. And on one of my favorite topics is no bid busing, or no, single bid busing, it might as well be no bid busing. And there's no competition in busing. Before you arrived in the district, I've advocated this microphone, and Dr. Lynch knows this, I'm sure Mr. Belmont remembers, that we form a consortium, and we join together and get busing away from the private sector because they haven't treated us well. And there's a building located in Rockville Center that was built for buses only. Nice bus company, the county bus company, who isn't so nice, abandoned that building. And it's all hooked up for CNG gas. And maybe a few districts, Rockville Center, Hewlett also use the same vendor you use here, and and maybe you could get together and join forces, find some money in state aid for busing, and go into the bus business and do it for less than what we've been done in the past. And I really think we should give some serious look at that. It would be a good way of 3 districts facing increased costs. And the last item I have, Mr. Belmont, on the budget issue is I'm glad on this using contingency money. I'm glad you're using my money and the other taxpayers' money and returning to us to keep the taxes down. But your governor made an announcement that the districts are holding too much money in reserves. So where do we stand in relationship to what is the allowable cap for reserve?
I would say, before I respond to that directly, is that the state itself is very proud to say they have 15% of their, in reserves.
You can't trust anything Albany says, sir.
Okay, so I don't believe, so that it's probably that they have more. They're just hiding it away. We stay, so the one cap that we have is on our unassigned fund balance. That cap is 4% of the subsequent year's budget. We are at that cap there. In terms of the other reserves, there's really no cap in the law on those reserves, but there are recommended sort of caps based on your actual expenses, and we are well, in terms of our funding of that, we are where we should be, in terms that we are not overfunded, we are not underfunded.
Okay. You have to have reserves. I don't mean to disallow that. One more thing I forgot. Page 22, special items. What's special about that? It's a big number.
It's, I mean, it's, it's subjective. We think they're special.
Okay.
And that's where they, what was that,
What-
20?
Page 22, special items.
22. Oh, yeah, so special items, this is right up your area. That includes our insurance costs,
Oh,
association
always blame it
dues.
on the insurance. Okay, good.
Yeah,
That's-
it's the
that's,
insurance.
that's
I mean,
not
what's-
special.
That's what's killing us.
No, I understand.
Health insurance, other
Health-
insurance. But this is the, this is not the health insurance, but this is general insurance. And then our BOCES, administrative fees and things like that.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President.
See you at the end of the regular hearing. This time, moving on to reminders, the budget vote and election is May 21st. Individuals may register to vote in the district clerk's office Monday to Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. The last day to register to vote is May 15th. We have registration on that date in the high school conference room from 4 to 8 p.m. Just a note, if you are registered with the Nassau County Board of Elections, you are registered to vote in the district election. Please contact the district clerk at teresa.moran@lynbrookschools.org if you would like an absentee ballot or application, or you can call her on her private cell phone at 5. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on May 21st, and that concludes our budget hearing. Reopening the regular meeting, moving on to report from trustees, policy committee. Tonight is the second reading and adoption of policies discussed at last month's meeting.
I mean, there's really nothing more to say. I went through it the last 2 meetings, and we're just adopting them tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Facilities, any member of the committee want to report on the facilities meeting? Anything? Nothing new, then we can move on. Mrs. Argona, PTA liaison.
Yes, council just wanted to thank everybody for attending Meet the Candidates. If you didn't have a chance to watch it, it is posted online, so take a look. Also, just wanted to let you know they will be having a homecoming scholarship 5K and fun run Sunday, October 27th. So information about sponsorship and registration will come out over the summer, so look out for that.
Thank you, Tara. Nothing under old business. Moving on to superintendent's report, Dr. Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Belmont. So at long last, our Profile of the Owl project is starting to come to a close. So the qualitative portion is over, and we have now taken those qualitative results and created a survey that will be going out tomorrow. So for people who have children in the schools, there will be a parent link that goes out. Staff, you'll be seeing an all-staff email. We'll be posting it on our Facebook page and our web page. It takes about 15 minutes to complete the survey. It asks you what the most important, based on the data that we have, what are the most important skills, mindsets and traits that our kids need to have when they complete their time here. And it's going to ask you to rank them. It does require some thought because we think it's a good process to actually not just do this in a non-scientific way, but to do it in a good way to collect good data. Part of the survey also asks you to basically rate us on how we're doing on those things already. We want to get better. So my theme with the staff at the beginning of the year was in order to stay the same Lynbrook that we've always been, we have to change because the kids are changing. This is where we're going to get the insight into what we need to do. The goal is, after we finish the survey, we then take it back and we look at our educational program and we decide where those gaps and redundancies are. So I'd ask as many people to take the survey as possible. It's open to everyone, Mr. Greenfield, so even people in the business community can take it, everyone who has a stake in who our kids are. And I'd really ask everyone to get their friends to take it. The more data we can, I know what it's like, another survey, 15 minutes, I don't have that. It really is important for our future. So I'd ask people to do that. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Balekas.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. I know that the elementary report card conversation has been going on for a very long time. It actually started prior to COVID. After the pandemic interruption, the committee came back to do a lot of the heavy lifting and adjusting based on the new needs of the students. I have to say thank you to all the parents, teachers, and administrators involved in the process. I have to say we had some very good conversations, and what you see with our new report cards is that the report cards have an additional piece about SEL. We know that one of the things that we were starting to hear in some of the early conversations with the profile for the OWL is that there is a very important academic component to what we do, but also a very important SEL component, and you will see that in the new report cards. Also, too, you will see a little bit extra in the categories and some consistency among subject areas. The interface will allow you to view your child's report card using the web. Unfortunately, there is no real good way to do that on the app world yet, but we do have that access, so you'll be able to actually access the report card through the web. The last piece is you'll see a lot of boxes here on the report card for individual subject area feedback, which is something that we thought was very important. And this is a mock of what the report card would look like in K through 2. You'll see that we still have those numbers that you'll be receiving each of the marking periods with a 1 through 4 to say whether or not you're meeting the state standards. But there are additional categories within each of these. You see these are your major subject areas, so you have your English, math, and science. What you also see with the report cards 3 to 5, very similar, that you'll have that same breakdown. On other slides, you will see in the back, actually, there are areas for supports and a whole SEL report card. The difference between the SEL section and the academic section is that there are specifics for different verbiage with the SEL, because it didn't really make sense to rate somebody with SEL with a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale. No one on the committee thought that made terribly much sense. So what we did with SEL, we changed the scale to consistently, often, sometimes, and not yet evident. And as I said before, it was a very collaborative effort. I have to also thank all of the people that we vetted the report card with, so the DEI committee as well as the PTA curriculum room. Thank you both for your input and being part of the process.
Questions from the board on the card?
I just had one question as to the, I guess, flexibility with that. Like in looking at the report card, I really appreciate the addition of SEL and that's on a different scale. I think that's really valuable. And the fact that the new standards that are addressed are current standards, but is there room for change with that if teachers go through the year and realize, what, I need to report more or differently to my parents to really give a full picture of how the students are doing? How easy would that be to address?
Well, I think the nice part is that every subject area has its own comment box. So if there's something specific that, you don't feel is captured in a number, which I think that this community's spoken loud and clear over the years, that, our kids cannot be reduced to a number. They want real information, and that's why we did think it was important to allow every teacher. And you can see it's not just the classroom teachers. It's all the special areas have an opportunity. If something doesn't fit that box or mold, you've got an opportunity to free write what you feel is important.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Blekas. Mr. Press, Capital Projects.
So since the last board meeting, we actually received approval from SED on the capital projects that we had sent up to the state. So that's the replacement of the elevator cab here at the high school. There's a restroom at South Middle, and the elementary door replacement projects at West End and at Marion Street. So the bid opening for the elevator and the restroom project opens on Tuesday. The bid opening is on Tuesday of next week. And for the door project, we are looking to take advantage of state contracts or BOCES contracts, so we don't have to bid that out. And we're in the process of figuring out the vendor that we're going to use with that project. So all of these projects should, the door project should be moving forward fairly soon. The other projects, we have to see what the bids look like and timelines on that. So we'll update you at the next meeting. But at least we've got SED approval, so we can move forward with that. Thank you.
Just because, how long was it from the time you submitted that up to the state till it came back?
6 months, about 6 months.
You think they looked at it?
They did, because they had questions.
All right.
Like the door
They didn't change it all. They just had questions, but everything we put in was the way it should be.
We had to make a couple of minor changes to the plans, but yeah.
Okay. Thanks. At this time, anything else, Dr. Lynch? All right, this time we'll move on to public comment. Anyone who likes to address the board, please come to the podium, identify yourself, whether you live in or out of district.
Jeff Greenfield, the same as before. On the subject of Holocaust studies, I know it's mandated by the state. The Temple B'nai Sholem, Beth David, and Rockville Center has a Never Again committee, and we raised a lot of money, and we funded for free. My father taught me free was good. We funded books for the Rockville Center schools. The school picks the books, and many of our congregants live in Lynbrook because Beth David used to be off of Merrick Road, forget the name of the street, and they merged in with us. And I met with the chairman of the committee today at lunch, told him what I was doing instead of the Knick game. Knicks are losing now. And they said that they would like to give some money to Lynbrook also. You pick the books, we don't. And who should they get in touch with? Dr. Berman? Who's the
Mr.
lucky?
Greenfield, I think I'm the lucky winner on this one.
Oh,
So
oh,
Dr.
okay.
Blekas, and anybody who wants to reach out, please feel free to put them in contact with
At
me.
the
That
end
would
of the
be
meeting,
awesome.
if you give me a business card, I'll pass it on to Mr. Herb Friend, who's a well-known speaker on Holocaust issues. His parents were, one that's still alive, Holocaust survivor, and his in-laws also were Holocaust survivors.
Oh,
He's
thank you.
very dedicated to this. Next, the former Long Island Water Company building over on Sunrise Highway and Peninsula Boulevard. I'm very troubled by the tax status of that building. I'm troubled as citizen taxpayer. And I was troubled when I voted against it. They converted it after renovating it to a doctor's condominium building. And I see no difference in Northwell operating that building as they operate in 444 Merrick Road in Lynbrook and pay taxes. It's my understanding that as a doctor's condominium, they don't have to pay taxes. And I think that's outrageous. And they didn't even make a payment in lieu of taxes to the district. And here's why I got more outraged recently. There was an article in Long Island Business News from the Simone Development, the owner, put out a press release that he renewed the lease for the building. I tried to get my planning commission staff, but we're short-staffed, to research the topic, the Nassau County Planning Commission, and maybe your attorney. I think there's money in it and past due for the district, and I think it may have been a subterfuge. I'm not ready to accuse them yet, but someone has to go to the county clerk's office and check if deeds were ever filed. Just because the planning commission approves something, we don't get notified that they file. And if they did file, on what basis? But I think a doctor's office is not like a hospital. It's revenue producing for the hospital. Hospital, they lose money because of the funding formula. But a doctor's office, you know, one doctor that loses money, or one doctor's practice that doesn't make money. Maybe they make less, they all cry, than they did before, but it's a for-profit endeavor. No different than my for-profit endeavor at 112 Merrick Road, and they should pay taxes because I pay taxes. I pay a lot of taxes.
Did you speak to the county about that?
Yes, and we don't have the staff to go and research it.
But what about the county legislators?
I didn't speak to the legislator about it, but I would welcome your attorney and your board or somebody pursuing.
Well, I'm not sure if we're going to spend the money on our attorneys. It might be something we'll look into, but if you're that concerned about it, you know, the county legislator
You
represents...
don't share my concern?
I may, but your county legislator, you're the one who brought it up. Your county legislator is the one you should be speaking to and say, hey, I pay taxes. I'm a citizen taxpayer. Why aren't you having them pay taxes?
I think that you, as a school board, raising the issue has a lot more credence, in all due respect, than I do. And the county legislature where I live in Rockville Center is not the same that serves Lynbrook.
Right, but you have property here.
Yes, I could talk to Bill Gaylord, but I think if the school board maybe authored a letter, questioned it, or researched it, I don't think to go to the clerk's office and do a search is a big expense.
Well, we wouldn't be doing that, but we can also speak to Bill Gaylord. If you provide us in writing the details of what you've done, I have no problem talking to Bill. And seeing this.
I'll look back in the Long Island Business Archives at the article, and I'll forward that to Dr. Lynch. I'll try to find it. And I thought while I was away this winter, I saw something on News 12 or read that a contractor was indicted for not paying prevailing wage. And I thought I recognized the name as the contractor that did the work here. Was that the contractor?
We're not familiar with that issue.
Well, okay, that's another thing. I think we may look into. They listed a number of different, and they said Lynbrook in from the DA's office. And if that's the case, I was just wondering from your attorney if we would be entitled to some restitution here. I know that the DA was going after them for, and I think it's, as citizen taxpayer, we should get some money back. And last item I had, with the work you're doing this summer, I know the bids went out already. I hope some local businesses in Lynbrook that are qualified to do some of the work. We have a few big plumbing concerns in Lynbrook, both union and non-union, that should have been included. And if it's not too late, and also the fact of the matter is that on your door project, maybe there's some local businesses that could benefit from the installation of the doors, since you already have the doors purchased under BOCES, which is good. So if you could look into that, I think it's good to do business locally. I'm a vice president of the Chamber of Commerce also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. We appreciate it.
I'm going to watch the Knick game now.
Enjoy. Seeing nothing else from the community, we have one unfortunate sympathy resolution this evening for Mr. Robert Torres. Whereas the members of the Board of Education of the Lynbrook Union Free School District have learned with sorrow of the passing of Robert Torres, former employee in the Lynbrook School District, and whereas Robert Torres served as an assistant head custodian at the Lynbrook High School for 22 years, from 1977 through 1999. And whereas the Board of Education is mindful of the contributions made to our district by Robert Torres during his years of service to our community. Be it resolved that the Board of Education records its sorrow, its sympathy, and the esteem in which Mr. Torres was held. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the family of Robert Torres with the hope they will find solace and comfort in the rich heritage of good works for which he is remembered and revered. We have 2 donations this evening. We gratefully accept and acknowledge from a Remy drum set from Robert Lebrine, valued at $400, to be consigned to the Lynbrook High School. And be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lynbrook Union Free School District gratefully acknowledges and accepts a donation from Bach Tops for Education in the amount of $4.20 for the kindergarten center. Thank you for that, Terry. Superintendent's recommendations. I'd like to ask for consent agenda on resolutions 2405C1 through 2405C11, 2405NC1 through 2405NC8, and 2405G1 through 2405G38. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Murray, second. Mrs. Danino. All in favor? May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Mrs. Marcus, second. Mr. Argano, all in favor? Thank you very much. Our next meeting is Wednesday, June 5th. Don't forget to vote. Thank you. Have a good night.